Giyu Tomioka, the stoic Water Hashira, a swordsman of unparalleled skill, yet burdened by a past as heavy as the waves he dances through. But what if the tide turned? What if Giyu, instead of wielding his blade against demons, crossed the line and became one himself? How could it happen? A Muzan bite fueled by despair? A desperate bargain to save Tanjiro? Or a chilling betrayal he never saw coming? After hours of research, here's our version of what if Giyu became a demon. There'll be major spoilers ahead from both the anime and manga, so if you haven't watched Demon Slayer yet, what are you even doing with your life? You know Giyu, the first Hashira we met in the story, right after Nezuko. He's the Water Hashira, who played a big part in Tanjiro becoming a Demon Slayer. Do you think Giyu would end up like Kaigaku and Kokushibo if he turned into a demon? Giyu was already pretty strong in the Demon Slayer world. He helped out in the big fight against Muzan in the final arc. But if he became a demon, how much stronger do you think he'd get? Later in the series, we find out that Giyu has this inferiority complex, which started during his final selection. Even though he became a Hashira, he sees himself as a fake one. It's like he's always reminding himself of his flaws and how things might have been different if his friend Sabito had survived. We don't think Giyu is the type of person that Muzan or any demon could talk into becoming one of them. Hashiras are known for being super loyal. Remember when Akaza offered Rengoku a chance to be a demon and he said no right away? So if Giyu ever becomes a demon, it would probably happen by accident. Like if he runs into an upper rank moon or Muzan himself. That's when he'd end up a demon, just like how it happened to Nezuko in the first place. So if Giyu were to become a demon, he'd probably struggle with keeping his sense of right and wrong. Kinda like Nezuko. What happens in that case? Well, controlling the urge to feast on human flesh would be tough for him. But once he manages it, he'd become a real force. You know, demons have their blood demon art, and only those who've had Muzan's blood and chowed down on lots of humans can use it. Assuming Giyu got a dose of Muzan's blood, he could blend that with his breathing style, like Kaigaku and Kokushibo did, turning him into a real threat in the Demon Slayer world. Just picture it, a demon Hashira duking it out with other demons alongside humans. That'd up their chances in a fight, especially if the demon was a Hashira. Without Nezuko helping Tanjiro, he might have kicked the bucket early on. Would Giyu give in to the bloodthirsty demon vibe and turn evil? Nah, we don't think so. Giyu's not the jealous or hostile type, unlike Kokushibo, who was all green-eyed about his brother and hungry for more power. Giyu's issues come from a rough past. Losing his sister and best bud, Sabito, without being able to do anything messed him up, making him doubt if he's fit to be the Water Hashira. In the manga, there's this moment where Giyu straight up tells Tanjiro that he's not cut out to be the Water Hashira. Tanjiro, being the persuasive guy he is, talks Giyu out of it, telling him to value his life for the sake of those who sacrifice for him. If you're wondering how Giyu would deal with Kibutsuji's curse that lets Muzan control demons, it all boils down to how determined Giyu is to overcome his desires. Or maybe if Muzan is weak enough for him to break free like Tamayo did when Muzan was on the ropes in his fight with Yorichi. Or you could count on Nezuko's protective instincts and Rokodaki's special hypnotism on her, giving Giyu the strength of the character to resist Muzan's control and protect the people he cares about. We're thinking Giyu would be one of the good demons in the story. But how would the Hashiras handle Giyu turning into a demon? Well, for starters, probably the same way they did when they first saw Nezuko. The idea of a respected member like Giyu becoming a demon would stir things up in the Demon Slayer core. Some folks might say, kick him out now. But just like how Giyu convinced the Hashiras about Nezuko during their meeting on the first episode of Demon Slayer, he'd likely talk them into believing he's not a threat to humans in the end. Imagine if Giyu had turned into a demon before the start of Demon Slayer. Tanjiro and Nezuko might have bumped into him while he was still figuring out how to handle being a demon. It could have given them a peek into the struggles demons face and a chance for redemption, spicing up their journey. Picture this, Tanjiro meeting his mentor Rokodaki through Giyu, and even Nezuko getting trained by him. Since Giyu knows the ropes, he could teach Nezuko the blood demon art and the total concentration breathing technique, boosting her strength. How cool would that be? Nezuko's already a powerhouse, but throw in some breathing techniques and she's next level. let's chat about how Giyu turning into a demon would shake up Demon Slayer's storyline. Jumping into the Mount Natagumo arc, not much would change plot-wise since Giyu is still on the Demon Slayer team. However, their firepower would skyrocket since Giyu's a demon now, and Nezuko mastered her skills early with his help. Bonus point, Nezuko can use total concentration breathing techniques learned from Giyu. Tanjiro wouldn't need to fret about Nezuko's strength. They could handle Rui without Giyu stepping in. Easy peasy. Let's dive into the Entertainment District, Mugen Train, and Swordsmith Village arcs. Without Giyu in the mix, the gang's journey goes as planned. Even though Nezuko is a powerhouse thanks to Mugen Train training, Rengoku still faces his fate against Akaza. Nezuko's hands are full of saving passengers with Zenitsu, so she can't lend a hand in Rengoku's showdown. Now on to the Hashira training arc. Giyu's already got a chip on his shoulder. And if we throw in the twist of him being a demon, his icy relations with the other Hashiras get frostier, especially with a wind Hashira, Sanemi Shinazugawa. After the Hashiras meet up, Giyu takes a bit of a backseat until the showdown with Sanemi. Originally, their fight ends in a draw, but imagine if Sanemi faced a demonized Giyu. Picture this, Giyu's got control over his demon strength, and the odds tip in his favor. Fast forward to the Infinity Castle arc, where Tanjiro and Giyu tackle Akaza, the upper three. This time, it's a breeze. With Giyu sporting demon powers, Akaza is outmatched. In the original plot, Giyu and Tanjiro gave Akaza a run for his money. But now, Giyu's at the upper moon level. Easy victory. This time around, Tanjiro wouldn't need to help since Giyu would be able to face Akaza alone and overpower him with his water breathing technique along with his blood demon art. The downside to this is that Giyu doesn't unlock his Demon Slayer mark, and Tanjiro won't master the transparent world ability. But the good news is they are not badly injured, which means they will be able to perform better against their final opponent, Muzan. Sadly, after the fight with Akaza, the plot continues to stay the same. In chapter 176, Muichiro and Genya still die at the hands of Kokoshibo. But in the final act, where they face off against Muzan along with the other Hashiras, which happened in chapter 177, Giyu would become the vanguard as he can tank Muzan's attack, and losing a limb or two wouldn't be much of a problem because of his regenerative abilities. Pouring all their strength to finally end Muzan's life and trading blows with the Demon King, Giyu finally unlocks his Demon Slayer mark, making him even stronger than before. With the Demon Slayer mark, a blood demon art, and insane regeneration, how can Giyu's buff affect the fight? Well, the incident in which Tanjiro was struck by Muzan could have been avoided, as Giyu would have been able to take that hit to protect Tanjiro. And we all know how durable demons are, and how those who have received Muzan's blood regenerate at an incredible speed. Take Akaza, for example. The moment his arm was severed by Rengoku, he quickly grew back with ease. And even wounds fatal to a human seemed irrelevant. That is why we believe Giyu, being a demon that was exposed to Muzan's blood, would be able to perform the same feats as Akaza. But that will be boring. So instead, let's follow the original plot and say Muzan still landed that hit against Tanjiro. And what does this mean? Well, this would mean that the moment where the Hashiras were blown away by Muzan and Tanjiro confronting the Demon King would still happen. But this time, he was quick to recover and join Tanjiro in the fight. During this, the strain felt by Tanjiro as he performs all the 12 sun breathing techniques would be greatly reduced, since Giyu would be backing him up. And this would be the moment in which Tanjiro unlocks the transparent world ability. Muzan is slowly being affected by the hybrid drug that was created by Tamayo and Shinobu. Tanjiro and Giyu get the upper hand and are able to push Muzan back. Shortly after, Kanao, Zenitsu, Inosuke, and the others are back on their feet and put even more pressure on the already weakened Muzan. As the sun rises, Muzan makes one final attempt to pass his will to Tanjiro to create a perfect Demon King that can conquer the sun. Why? Because, well, come on, Nezuko did it, and Tanjiro was her brother. It would be normal to assume that by sharing the same blood, Tanjiro can do the same. But before this happens, Giyu steps in and pins Muzan down himself. throwing Tanjiro to the side and sacrificing his life as he absorbs all of Muzan's blood. If you're wondering why Giyu would do this, well, do you remember how he always thought he was the one getting protected and told everyone that whoever was important to him died? Well, this is his redemption moment. The scene where he realizes that this is his purpose. This time, he sacrifices himself to properly kill Muzan, and his promise to protect those that are important to him can now be fulfilled in the most dramatic way possible. With that being said, the disaster that was to come and the injuries everyone suffered by the Demon Slayer Corps during Tanjiro's rampage in the original plot have been avoided. At last, the Demon Slayer Corps has finally won the battle, and Giyu's sacrifice shall be etched in stone.